Hello, I'm Stephanie, and along with Shad, we're the Freck Group with Premier Homes and Properties. We specialize in working with people that are moving to Johnson City and the surrounding areas. So, if you're thinking about moving to the northeast corner of Tennessee, give us a call, text, or email. We're happy to answer your questions. And speaking of questions, today I'd like to answer 5 questions that you will probably ask during your home search. So let's get started. Let's start with property taxes. And Shad and I have discussed property taxes before in some of our previous YouTube videos, but I certainly think taxes are worth mentioning again because everyone wants to know, if I buy this house, what am I going to be paying for property taxes? Well, if you purchase a home within the city limits, you are going to be paying city and county taxes. And that would be about 1% of the assessed value of your home. If you purchase a home that's in a rural area outside of the city limits, a good rule of thumb would be about 0.5% of the assessed value of your home. So as you can see, especially you folks coming from California and up in New York, you're going to have a real savings here in Northeast Tennessee. The second question we often get pertains to water. People are looking at listings online. They may see public or city water. Of course, that means you're on city water service. But we get a lot of questions. What does individual or private water mean? Well, that means you would be using a well. There is a well on the property. So what is a well? Basically, a well is a hole drilled into the ground to access water contained in an aquifer. A pipe and a pump are used to pull water out of the ground, and a screen filters out unwanted particles that could clog the pipe. If you're looking at a property with a well on it, one of the things that we can do is when you're having your inspections done, some inspectors will test the water to make sure that it's bacteria free. There's just a lot of tests that you can have done, and if you Google it, there's a long list of things that they can look at. Also, some city services provide at-home tests. You can take it home and do a self-test and send it out to find out if it's drinkable water. If for some reason your well does become contaminated, it can be chemically shocked, and basically that's a chlorine that's put through it and through the pump, and then once it's cleaned you can have it tested again for bacteria. Now, some of the ways that it can become contaminated would be when it's initially installed, if it's been repaired, or if there's been rainwater runoff. It is recommended that you do have your well tested for bacteria at least once or twice a year. If you're thinking about purchasing a home with a well, or you're thinking about putting a well in, there is a very good state-provided website, and I'm putting the name of it up on the screen because it's pretty long, but it's very helpful because you can go to this website and look at a particular area and see all the locations of the wells and the depths. So this could be very helpful, and especially if you're going to build, you might want to have some idea of what the well depths are around you. I would like to mention that just because you live in a rural area here in Northeast Tennessee doesn't necessarily mean that you automatically have a well, because many properties in rural areas actually have city water. And an interesting fact about wells, over 42 million people in the United States use wells to provide water for their families. The third question pertains to city sewer versus private sewer. If you have city sewer, you're hooked up to the city sewer system and you're all set to go. If you see private or individual sewer, this means you have a septic tank or a septic system. So what is a septic system? Septic systems are underground wastewater treatment structures commonly used in rural areas without centralized sewer systems. They use a combination of nature and proven technology to treat wastewater from household plumbing produced by bathrooms, kitchen drains, and laundry. If you're interested in a home with a septic system, what we like to do is pull the septic permit, and I'll show you an example of one. So here is an example of a septic permit, and I have the name and the address crossed out for YouTube, but you would have the name and the address of the person that had applied for the septic and permit. So this particular one, and most of them look like this, here is the front of the house, here's the house, here's the actual septic tank, and then the drain lines and the duplicate area. Now you have a duplicate area in case the first area where the septic tank is not usable any longer. You can go ahead and hook up to this duplicate area. Now this is very important to know where all this is, because maybe you want to put a pool in your yard. You can't put the pool where the septic system is. Also, if you have a large RV or something like that, you're wanting to park in your lawn, you can't park it over your septic system. So this is very important. Another thing is it covers the number of bedrooms. On this one, the number of bedrooms is 3. This is important. If you go to sell your home and it's a 4-bedroom, but it has a 3-bedroom permit, you really can only advertise your home for 3 bedrooms. And most septic tanks or septic systems are have about 900 to 1,000 gallons, and that's probably for a 3-bedroom home. So here's an example of a septic permit. As far as maintenance for your septic system, well, I would suggest you always check with a professional. But we are seeing people, let's say 1 or 2 people that are living in a home, that have gone as long as 10 or 12 years until they had their septic system cleaned out. We are also seeing homes where there's 4 or 5 people living in the home. If they're using more bleach products into the system, they're using a lot of other things that are going down the toilet other than toilet paper. You will need to have it cleaned more often. Maybe it might need to be cleaned out every couple of years. Now, I know all this sounds sort of gross, and Shad just made me share this photo of cousin Eddie. But I've lived at 2 homes with septic systems. I would never have known inside the home or outside the home that I had a septic system other than I knew it when I purchased the home. So don't be scared of a septic system. The 4th question we hear a lot pertains to internet and cell service. Yes, we have good internet and cell service, just like even, the large cities, the great big cities have. We have good service too. You do have to pay attention though. If you're wanting to live out on the side of the mountain or way out remote, some areas like Roan Mountain or Mountain City or very far south in Greenville or some areas in Rogersville. Now, I'm not trying to pick on any of these particular towns because they all do have cell service. They all do have internet service, but there are some areas that are hit or miss in some of these areas and some other ones that you'll run into. So if you especially are going to work remote, and we're seeing more and more and more of that, cell service and internet service will be very important to you. So we will look at each home case by case to make sure that you do have service. And that is continuing to improve with satellites and so forth. So just something to keep in mind. Sometimes you have to compromise a little bit because you want that, outdoor feeling or to be out in the wilderness, but you also need to work and make a paycheck. So keep that in mind. The 5th question is, what is a heat pump? And here's a heat pump right here. You're going to see this outside of homes. Sometimes you'll see 2 of them. And a heat pump is what we often use here for heating and cooling homes. There are some homes that have gas, but it would be more in the city, and most people have heat pumps. You could have one large heat pump that heats and cools your home, or you could have two. Maybe one is for the main level and one is for the basement or the upper level. So what is a heat pump? A heat pump transfers thermal energy between spaces, usually between an enclosed space and the outdoors. When used to heat a building, the energy is transferred from the outside into the building. A heat pump can also work as an air conditioner by transferring heat from the building to the outside. And the reason you see so many heat pumps here is they work very well in Northeast Tennessee. Because of our moderate temperatures, they're very efficient in the winter and the summer. Because we don't have the harsh winters like you have up in the Northeast, or the hot summers like you have down south. So you can feel pretty confident that a heat pump will do very well with your home here in Northeast Tennessee. I know I said I would answer 5 questions when I started this video, but I'm going to throw in another one. What are these mountains called? The Appalachian Mountains, not Appalachian. So if you want to sound like a local, it's Appalachian. I hope I answered your questions today, and if you have additional questions, please feel free to call, text, or email us, because it's never too soon to start planning your move. And I hope to see you real soon in Johnson City.